All right, so not too long ago, the internet was absolutely buzzing, right? Everyone was hyped for the new Tomb Raider TV series. But then, a couple of on-set photos leaked, and boom, everything just flipped on its head. All of a sudden, you've got fans screaming bait and switch, and a massive controversy just explodes out of nowhere. So today, we're going to break down the viral critique that's got everybody talking. What is really going on with the new Lara Croft? Let's get into it. Okay, so it really all boils down to these two pictures. On one side, you've got the Lara we all grew up with, the classic 90s look pulled straight from the games. It's just pure nostalgia fuel. But then you look at the other picture, and what is that? It's a completely different Lara, all bundled up in this big winter coat, looking like she's about to brave a snowstorm, not raid a tomb. And for a lot of people, this wasn't just, oh, a different outfit. No, this felt like a straight-up betrayal. Now, I know you're probably thinking, dude, it's just a jacket. What's the big deal? And hey, I get it. But for the critic we're looking at today, this was way more than just a practical choice for a chilly day on set. To them, this was a signal, a huge red flag that the show was promising one thing, that classic Lara we all recognize, but was actually planning to deliver something completely different. And that, right there, is how this whole bait and switch theory got started. So the big question is, how do we get from a simple costume change to a full-blown bait and switch accusation? Well, the argument laid out in this online commentary is actually pretty specific, and it all hinges on what that phrase really means. And this right here, this is the core of it. The person who made the video isn't just saying, hey, they're changing stuff. Nope. The argument is that this is a deliberate deception. It's a textbook bait and switch. Where a company lures you in with something awesome and then tries to sell you something, well, something they see as a cheap knockoff. And this is where it gets really juicy. See, the goods in this whole thing aren't just outfits. We're talking about two totally different versions of Lara Croft herself. You've got the original 90s icon. That's the superior product, right? And then you've got this other, newer version that the critic is basically calling inferior goods. The fear is that the show is secretly trying to pass off this new version on us. Okay, so that's the theory, but a theory is just a theory without some proof, right? So what's the evidence? Well, the critic's entire case really hangs on one single, kind of surprising connection, a real deep cut from the Tomb Raider video game library. So according to this critique, that winter jacket isn't just some random piece of clothing. Oh no. It is, they claim, almost identical to the outfit Lara Croft wears in the 2008 game Tomb Raider Underworld. And for this critic, that's not some fun little nod to the fans. It's the smoking gun. And for them, it's all about this sequence of events. Think about it. First, they show us the classic OG Lara in the promo images. Get everyone excited. Then, the very first on-set picture we see is her dressed like she's from Tomb Raider Underworld. The critic says, no way that's a coincidence. They see it as a calculated, deliberate move to pull the wool over the fans' eyes about what the show is actually going to be. So you're probably asking, okay, but what's so bad about Underworld? Well, according to the video's creator, this isn't just about their personal opinion. They say they've got the receipts. And we're not talking about opinions here. We're talking about cold, hard numbers. Sales data that they argue proves this era of Lara Croft was a total flop with the fans. Just take a look at these numbers. The critic laid out the Tomb Raider games, ranked them by sales, and yep, look where Underworld is. It's way down there, near the bottom of the list. So for them, this is Exhibit A. This is the undeniable proof that this version of the character, this look, was a commercial failure. It's the inferior good that they argue no real fan would ever want over the classic. But listen, the critique doesn't just stop at the costume, not by a long shot. It goes way deeper, looking at the actual people making the show, and well, they are not impressed. For this critic, the bait and switch isn't just about what we'll see on screen, it's about what's happening behind the camera too. First up, they take aim at the star of the show, Sophie Turner. And let's just say, the critic is not a fan. They're pointing to her past roles and basically saying they're just not convinced she can pull off a character as iconic as Lara Croft. I mean, they put it very bluntly. They just don't think she has the chops. For this commentator, the casting itself is just one more giant red flag, another piece of evidence that this show is heading down a path they really don't like. But the sharpest criticism, the really pointed stuff, is saved for the showrunner and writer, Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
The creator of this video is absolutely convinced she is going to bring what they call a feminazi agenda to the series, and in their words, completely destroy the character of Lara Croft.
So what's the prediction here? It is not good. The source's position is that her writing style is going to turn Lara from, and I'm quoting here, a great femme fatale character just into an insufferable bitch. Yeah, it's a really bleak prediction, and it kind of gets to the absolute core of what this critic is afraid of. So when you really boil it all down, this whole thing isn't really about a jacket or some sales numbers from a decade-old game. It's about the very soul of Lara Croft. The way the critic sees it, there's a war being fought over the future of this character. It's a battle between the classic Lara and whatever this new Lara is supposed to be. And honestly, they're not sure which version is going to come out on top. And that's the #1 fear, right? That the OG Lara, the original, is just being erased. They're worried the show is going to sand down all her interesting, rough edges, sanitize her for today's audience, and just turn her into this bland, watered-down version of the icon she used to be. So who is this OG Lara that the critic is trying to defend so fiercely? Well, in their eyes, she's no simple hero. She's a thrill seeker. She's kind of self-absorbed, a little morally ambiguous. She's ultimately out for numero uno herself. And to this critic, all that complexity, that messiness, that's what made her such an interesting and fantastic character in the first place. So is the new TV series going to completely redefine a classic character for a whole new generation? Or is it going to prove all the fears of this online critic right? I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? We've seen one side of the argument, this clear line drawn between two very different versions of a beloved character. And now we're all left to wonder, which Lara Croft is actually going to show up on our screens?